Hey guys, Hawka here, and welcome back to another analysis video, this time focusing on what we are expecting to see on Vertigo at the Major. I'm mainly going to be focusing on this Mousesports vs G2 game. I think Mousesports had a lot of really cool ideas on this map, so without any further ado, let's get right into things. So we're starting here in round 4 with Mousesports putting some utility straight down the B stairs, this time going for a double nade stack. I think you can mix up the utility you use towards these stairs, but as the CTs, you almost certainly have to use some nades here early, otherwise you risk the Ts getting up the stairs way too easily, and then they're really close to the site. So most teams are using early utility to counter that aggression. The really nice thing here from Mousesports though is they use further utility later in the round to take full control of B stairs, and this gives them a massive amount of map control to work with. You can see these two incendiaries coming down into this position, and Lucky decides he cannot afford to stick around and risk trying to fight. Mousesports don't push with these Molotovs straight away. Instead, Chris J waits a little bit before pushing down the stairs, and you can see he's only focused on the left side here. He is fully confident that those Molotovs have cleared out the angles below him, and I think that's going to be incredibly important if you want to push those B stairs. You need to make sure you cut down those angles you have to deal with, and eventually Chris J nestles himself in the corner, taking so much information for his team. Mousesports decide to stack heavily towards A after Chris J pushes through B. Frozen gets a really nice single kill in this one and done position, and then with all the players looking the other way, Rops can go through the smoke, get a couple of kills, and basically win the round for Mousesports. And just to show you a little bit more of what I mean, in the very next round, Shox loses this fight, Mousesports eventually go for similar nades over towards the B stairs, the smoke goes down, the Molotov to follow, and this cuts down on the amount of angles the Ts can be playing significantly, allowing the CTs to take much more favourable fights. So we've established that Mousesports can take the B stairs control quite often with their CT utility, but here's one of the switch ups they decide to make once they get that control. They boost a player up into this window to help fight off mid, and while it doesn't work out perfectly in this round, you can see just how devastating it could be to fight two players on completely different angles at completely different heights. And while I'm not expecting this sort of stuff from every team, these are the things that Mousesports opponents are going to have to start to be aware of. We've mainly focused on the B side of the map up until this point, but let's check out what Woxic is doing, and hot diggity damn is that ballsy. So this is another thing I love about Mousesports on their CT side. The fact that they're willing to just play off their individual skill, to just do things like this. They have a really cool mix of making individual plays and of making plays more based on utility and teamwork. And while Woxic doesn't land this shot, you could see a world in which he gets an easy man advantage for his team, and even when it goes wrong, Karrigan's there to get him out safely with this smoke. Here is a different example of a Mousesports A hold. This time Karrigan throws a quick smoke down ramp to try to slow down G2, but unfortunately, playing solo A, he really needs to stay alive here, and once he gets picked, you can see Mousesports just collapse in this round. Mousesports were definitely willing to switch up this A hold though. Sometimes they had Karrigan alone, while sometimes they had two players there. So you can see what Karrigan's trying, just to put some pressure on his opponents, to make it seem like there's a solid hold on that site, but sadly it doesn't work out for him, and that's the round over. I think a more standard hold for Mousesports though shows Karrigan in this spot here, right at this back box on the site. And I think there's a few reasons why Karrigan seems to love this spot. Firstly, Karrigan uses quite a lot of utility bounced off this right wall, such as flashbangs or even incendiaries to slow his opponents down. And secondly, this spot you have to commit quite hard to clearing, so it allows his teammates to trade off him fairly easily. Not that Karrigan needs that all the time though, he can certainly hold his own as he shows in this round. There definitely are counters to this spot, but in this game in particular, G2 were very, very slow to adapt to Karrigan's position here, and he abused this spot round after round. So this is a more passive example of a CT hold. The one position I've kind of neglected on the CT hold is probably in towards mid, and I think that's because we didn't see many kills here from Mousesports, but they were often using their nades, using their smokes to make sure that G2 were pushed away from this position. You can also wallbang over towards that ladder to try to dish out some damage, which Mousesports also did very often. And after Mousesports take mid control in this round, Woxic rotates back towards A, and even though G2 put this smoke down quite a few times, Mousesports did a really good job at either spraying through the smoke or even pushing through the smoke to cause issues for G2. So I expect that to be another feature of quite a few teams' CT side. Instead of just sitting back and giving up the site, they're willing to fight through these smokes. So I think that sums up the CT side quite nicely. Now let's switch over to the T side to see what Mousesports had up their sleeve. Into the pistol round, Mousesports keep things pretty straightforward with this rush towards A. This definitely makes a fair bit of sense. There are quite a few close angles you can fight towards, and the trades go fairly well for Mousesports on the initial take. So we get a 4-man A rush from the European squad with Rops lurking towards mid, and for me that is the special detail that makes this strategy work. Rops gets to hear the rotations from mid and time his flank perfectly for a couple of kills from behind. He really clinches this round, and this is the kind of thing you could easily try in matchmaking. So even though we've seen good utility usage from Mousesports in some other rounds, here they just decide to keep things simple, and I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of teams try to exploit a fast-paced, close-range style with the Glocks against the USP. Those T-side pistols should be pretty favoured to all of the close angles on Vertigo. A few rounds later, just wanted to show this cool smoke from Amanek. I said that we're going to see utility towards B stairs early. This is a really nice jump thrown smoke over towards B stairs, but also take note that Chris J puts down a smoke on the T side, I think to try and take away information from the CTs. The overall idea from Mousesports in this round is a very slow, very patient mid play, just waiting out the utility from G2. And as the time runs down, they eventually get the pick they were looking for, and from this point onwards, honestly, they just frag out, they stick together, and they get the job done. Again, nothing too fancy in this round, but Mousesports show that it is possible to take the mid control. That's something G2 definitely struggled to do, and it leaves you with tons of options into the late round. We've already focused pretty heavily on the importance of those nades towards the B stairs in this video, so that's why it's especially cool to me that Mousesports have got a counterplay to this smoke going down in towards B stairs. Plenty of flashbangs through, and Karrigan lands a great shot. You obviously run the risk of maybe running into some HE grenades and just giving up the pick, but Mousesports have been playing slow earlier in this game, so this sort of switch up is oftentimes going to work and catch a team off guard. G2 were looking to hold their nades, assuming it might be a slower play, so I really like this switch up. The other benefits you get from this is Frozen on the other side of the map starts to hear the rotations. It's very easy to hear those audio cues on Vertigo with it being such a small map, and once Frozen hears the rotate away from A, slowly but surely Mousesports group up to this side of the map for the finish. And again, they do have to rely on Karrigan landing a sick shot towards Kenny, but once this kill comes through, Mousesports are in great shape to take the round. And with Mousesports having so much control towards the site in a 2v2, Frozen plays a very cheeky off angle to completely catch Shox off guard and basically seal the deal on this round. And finally, to close out the flawless T side, it always helps when your players can win you 2v5s, and yeah, maybe Shox overpeaks here, he leaves Lucky on the site alone with the CZ, but you have to give credit to the players for some sick clutching ability. So that's going to be us done for the day. Thank you guys for watching, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.